tonight's Business Insider, a perspective on natural gas exports. Last month, the EPA released a controversial study. It says exporting natural gas would be an economic win for the U.S. Joining me now to explain on Capital Insider is Margo Thorning. She's the Senior Vice President and Chief Economist for the American Council for Capital Formation. Margo, before we get into the details of this study, give us some context. What are the current rules regarding natural gas exports?
Right now, you have to get a permit from FERC and DOE to export natural gas unless it's with a country that we have a free trade agreement with. So not very many countries fall under that regime. So in order to substantially increase American liquefied natural gas exports, we need FERC and DOE to approve contracts with other countries.
Now, the Energy Department commissioned a study by NERA Consulting. What did that study find?
The study found that under a broad range of scenarios with different levels of natural gas, liquefied natural gas exports, with different price levels, that the U.S. economy overall benefited in every single scenario, in terms of GDP being higher in every circumstance under all the different options that they looked at.
Now, the study is taking some heat, Margo. Democratic Senator Ron Wyden tells The Hill natural gas exports will cause prices to rise in the U.S. and will have a negative impact on homeowners and businesses. What do you say to that?
Well, if you look at how production has increased over the past 5 years, natural gas production is up about 25%. The price has fallen from about $12 a thousand cubic feet down to about $3 to $3.33. And consumers and industrial users have certainly benefited from that. But the DOE work on what would be the impact on prices if natural gas exports increase substantially shows very small impact on prices and overall benefits to the U.S. economy. A Deloitte study showed that 63% of all new exported LNG would come from new production, not from taking natural gas from industrial users or consumers.
Now, Greenpeace and other liberal environmental groups note your organization's ties to ExxonMobil, specifically that Exxon donated more than $1.6 million to the American Council for Capital Formation since 1998. Are you lobbying on their behalf?
We represent a host of energy users and energy consumers, ExxonMobil being one of them, and our focus is on cost-effective environmental and energy policy that will help the U.S. economy grow. In the case of putting a limitation on liquefied natural gas exports, that's in opposition to all that we know about the benefits of free trade. For example, Professor Bhagwati of Columbia University, who's on the ACCF Center for Policy Research Board of Scholars, points out the benefits of open markets and free trade. The evidence is overwhelming. For example, India and China's development since the 1980s is due to their opening up of their markets to imports and exports. So free trade is a vehicle that will lift all boats, and we don't want to start putting a category of a commodity in a certain putting a commodity in a certain category and saying you can't export that. What if the cereal producers in the U.S. told American farmers that they could only export a certain amount of grain? Or what if our steel producers could only export a certain amount of steel for fear that it would raise the price to washing machine producers? So we can't go down that path of picking out a particular commodity and saying you must not export more than a certain amount of that. We need to market forces determine what is the appropriate amount to be exported.
Will you testify if and when this report goes before Congress?
I would be pleased to give evidence on the benefits of free trade, and the evidence suggests that, in fact, U.S. industrial consumers may benefit if we export more natural gas, because one of the products that you get in many of the gas plays, when you drill for natural gas, you also get natural gas liquids like ethane. Ethane is made into ethylene, which is an input for making plastics and petrochemicals. Our U.S. industrial producers could benefit substantially if more ethane is produced because of drilling to to provide natural gas for export. So it could be a real plus to our petrochemical and plastics producers to export more LNG.
Very enlightening. We all learned a lot tonight. Margo Thorning, the American Council for Capital Formation. Good to have you with us on Capital Insider.
Thank you.